Hey everybody, welcome back to the Dungeon Dive. Daniel here. I hope you're doing well, and if you're not, I hope you are soon. Okay, today on the Dungeon Dive, we are taking a look at 9D6 Quest, a new little standalone adventure game from Andreas Safiligoy, the designer of Four Against Darkness and Alone Against Fear, and a few other games. 9D6 Quest is a small little overland adventure game where you will be taking a character and you will pick a class for your character. Then you will roll up a random mission. You will roll up a random map and you have to go on that quest and complete that quest. And the goal of the game is to complete all of the quests in the book. That is considered a successful campaign. And there are 9 different quests in this game. So let's take a quick look at 9D6 Quest and see what it's all about. So this says, let's read the back here. 9D6 Quest is a solo dice management game. To play, you need 9 standard 6-sided dice, a pencil, this book. Paper miniatures are available, but not required. I am just using a couple little tokens if I need to keep track of things on the map. So this is a dice management pen and paper solo fantasy game. You play as a hero trying to complete a series of quests. So the first thing you'll do is you will pick a class for your character, and this is your character, and this one character will be your main character for that entire campaign. The characters are very simple in this game. They have a name and a class, and that's basically it. And then you will be keeping track of certain things such as glory, which are kind of like experience points. You will be keeping track of treasure points. Any extra dice that you get from leveling up, you can spend 10 glory to level up to earn up to 3 extra dice. You start with 9d6 in your pool. Glory can also be used for free rerolls. For if you fail a test, you can reroll by spending a point of glory. There are also spells. You will be at various points looking for clues. A lot of missions will have you searching for a certain number of clues in order to find the thing that you are looking for. So the characters in the game, each character basically has 1 or 2 abilities that allow them to break some rules. For instance, a knight. A knight gets a free reroll on a die used for attack or defense, and every time they visit a town or a temple, they may heal 1 die for free. Or you can be a barbarian. You have 1 free reroll on all attack rolls. You may not use magic items or scrolls, but you may collect and sell them. The only magic items you may use is the Shield of Last Chance. At the end of a combat encounter, you heal 2, not 1 tired dice. The other character classes include a mage, a cleric, a ranger, a chaos slayer, a witch hunter, a thief, a veteran, a scout, a rogue, and a dragon slayer. The ranger is pretty OP. The ranger might be considered easy mode because the ranger is able to reduce by 1 the difficulty of any danger that they come across. And that's what I'm playing now. I didn't realize that it would be easy mode, but it really does seem easier if you play as the ranger. 9D6 Quest is all about managing your dice and managing your dice pool. You start the game with 9d6, and to perform tests, you will have to beat a target number. Most tests have a target number of about 4, 5, or 6. So let's say you were taking a test with a target number of 5. You were trying to avoid a trap. You would choose how many dice to roll, and you always start with your fresh dice. These dice, they represent your character's abilities, their gear, all of the things that make up a heroic character these dice represent. So I could take my fresh dice and I could say, cool, I'm going to spend 3 fresh dice. And if you roll, you have to roll, and then you want to hit at least 1 target number. So in this instance, I would need at least 1 5 to pass this trap. Okay, so I got the 5, so I successfully passed the test, and since I did so, and I didn't roll any 1s, all of those dice remain fresh. If one of these rolled up a 1, then I would have to move that down to the tired section. Tired dice you can still use them to do tests. You always start with fresh dice, then you move down to tired dice, then you move down to wounded dice. And if wounded dice if you ever roll a 1 on a wounded die, then that die becomes a dead die, and you move that down. If at any point in the adventure all 9 of your dice are dead, then your character is dead. You lose that adventure and you lose that campaign. So there is some dice management. There is quite a bit of pressure luck. You get to choose how many dice you want to roll for that test. But the more dice you roll, the better the chances of you rolling a 1, having to downgrade your dice and potentially causing your character to die and lose that quest. So I do really like that a lot. Throughout the game, you will face a number of different foes. There are major foes and there are minor foes. Major foes will usually have some kind of loot, some kind of great reward for defeating them. We have things like Chaos Lords, witches, ogres, dragons, Medusas, and giant spiders. The loot is down at the bottom. Usually you will get 1 or 2 TPs. Those are treasure points, and then maybe a magic item, some glory, or a scroll. Treasure points count as gold or any treasure that your character might be carrying, and you spend treasure points at certain locations on the map to heal your dice. And in between adventures, you can spend treasure points to heal dead dice and move those up. So you want another element of press your luck in this game is moving into dangerous hexes to find those monsters, to face off against them so you can gain treasure points, so you have the ability to heal your dice, because any dice that are down in the tired section don't automatically heal in between adventures. So this is kind of an ongoing dice management game. In addition to the major foes, you also have the minor foes, and the minor foes never have any loot, so they are just kind of a danger. And you have things like demonic cultists, hobgoblins, goblins, zombies, skeletons, orcs, brigands, bugbears, lizardmen, troll, and a heroic minor foe, which you re-roll, and then that foe becomes more of a nuisance to you. I've already gone on mission 5, which was a quest for the magical item. And there are a number of different magical items in the book, and oftentimes you are told to pick a magic item. So this quest 5 was the quest for the magic item. I chose the quest for the Blade of Goblin Slaying. But the magic items here, we have potions of healing, potions of strength, potions of perception, a blade of might, a belt of protection, a fireball spell, a ring of warning, a hobgoblin scourge, a brooch of charm, a blade of goblin slaying. The blade of goblin slaying, every time you meet a goblin, you automatically slay it. That's pretty cool. A skeleton crusher, a shield of last chance, a lightning rod, a scepter of dark power, or some holy water. So there are a number of different magic items that you will be able to get throughout your adventure. There are also a number of different spells. And let me see if I can find the spells here. Okay, so the spells here, that are known by the mage, but you can also find scrolls that have these spells on them. And the various spells include blast, charm, shield, sleep, summon power, teleportation, weakness, and wizard's sight. So let's go back to the missions here. So you've picked your class. The next thing you're going to do is roll up your mission. All right, 5. So I've already gone on mission 5. So now I can choose a mission either before or after 5. And then there are also missions 7, 8, and 9. Once you have completed the first 6 missions, then you can move on to quests 7, 8, and 9. And once you have completed all 9 quests, then you complete the campaign. So let's say I would go to mission 4 here, and that would be the trade route. So this says you start at a random star hex. So after rolling up your quest, you will roll to see which map you play on. So there are 6 different hex maps provided in the book, each one with some different terrain and some different things that you might discover. And each hex map has a number of starred hexes, and those represent your starting hex. So let's see which hex map I will be playing mission 4 on. Hex number 5, map number 5. Okay. So here is our map for quest number 5 here. We have various things such as forests, we have graveyards or cemeteries, hills, dungeons, towns and villages, and temples and cities. And each one of those special hexes will also have some special rules associated with it. And those are all detailed in the book here. So we have our special hex rules. Some hexes have their own special rules. Apply them every time you enter those hexes. Each special hex is identified by an icon. Okay, so here we might have a village. You can heal up to 2 dice for the cost of 2 treasure points each in a village. If we come across the temple here, you can heal up to 4 dice for the cost of 2 treasure points each. The dungeon over here, when we enter the dungeon, we will face off against some powerful foes, but we will able to get some hard-earned and much-needed treasure points. So here, if we enter this dungeon, you must fight 3 random minor foes and a random major foe. You can rest between encounters. When you rest after a combat, if you win the combat, you can move one of your tired dice up to the fresh dice section in between rounds of combat. At the end of this process, in addition to any loot from the encounters, you find an additional treasure point. Once you have cleared a dungeon, you will no longer find any additional treasure points, but if you enter it later, you will still find 3 minor foes. And so far, I haven't really determined any reason to ever fight a minor foe. I'm not sure. Maybe there are some quests which will ask you to kill a certain number of minor foes. That could be a possibility. Let's go back and take a look at our quest here now that we've determined which map that we'll be on. So the trade route, start in a random start hex. So let's see, our starting hex here will be hex number 3. So we have these starting hexes here. So we'll put our little marker here on star number 3. You must escort a merchant from a village or town of your choice to other towns or villages and then back to the original town or village. Every time you cross a hex, there is a 2 in 6 chance that you'll have to fight a random major foe. So as you enter a hex, you will roll a d6. On a 1 or a 2, you will have to fight against a major foe. So that would cause me to face off against a major foe. But again, that's some really good ways of getting loot and treasure points so you can heal your dice. Anytime you enter a village or town, you must fight a random minor foe. So if I was to enter one of these villages or towns, then I would roll a 2d6 to face off against that minor foe. And that minor foe would be a goblin. But I have the Goblin Slayer, so I would automatically slay that goblin, because anything you earn in one quest carries over to all subsequent quests. At the end of the mission, you will be paid 1 treasure point for every village listed and 2 treasure points for every town listed. If you visit a temple, you may buy a vial of holy water for 3 treasure points. Holy water is used to defeat skeletons. The mission ends when you return to the original town. The merchant has no game stats and he is assumed to survive the adventure as long as your character survives. So the game itself, once you start playing, it's pretty simple. You will start in your hex and you will just move to a hex, and that is 1 turn. Some quests will have you do certain tests as you enter certain hexes. Some will not. One of the quests I've done so far, every time I entered a hex, I needed to search for a clue, and I had to hit a target number of 5 or higher. And if I failed any of those, then I would have to face off against some danger or my dice would get damaged. So this is a pretty simple quest as far as the rules go. I just need to visit the various towns, find that merchant, and then do kind of a tour of all of the towns on this map, trying to get as much treasure as possible and then return them back to their home village or town. And hopefully I would survive along the way. So combat is pretty simple. Let's say I was facing off against a zombie here, and a zombie has a difficulty of 3, so I would need to roll a 3 or higher in order to defeat the zombie. However, remember, my ranger has a power that allows me to lower the danger by 1, so I only need a 2 or higher to hit a zombie. You may automatically destroy a zombie by using a vial of holy water. Zombies travel in groups. Every time you destroy a zombie, you must roll a 2 in 6 chance that another zombie appears and attacks you. The damage kills 1 die. So I need to get a 2 or higher to kill this zombie. I will say I'm going to spend 3 dice. This is my pool. Roll that. All right. So I hit a 2 or higher. So I defeat the zombie. However, I also rolled a 1. So this die here becomes tired, and these 2 dice remain fresh. However, because I won a round of combat, I also get to move 1 tired die up to the fresh dice section. So that's kind of how you will manage dice. Dice, as you roll ones, will move down. As you do good things, they will move back up. And when you put together your dice pool for your actions, you always start with fresh dice, and then you move on to tired dice, and then wounded dice. Dead dice can never be used for anything. So overall, this is a pretty fun game. It's very light, but I like the kind of adventure it provides. I like the random quest element of going through all 9 of those quests in a certain order. I like all the characters' powers. Again, I do think Ranger is kind of easy mode. Ranger seems really OP. I like the different map sections and the way you roll up a different map for each quest. So that means that the quests do have some variety depending on which map you encounter that quest on. I like the various magical items, and the boss monsters do have some interesting rules, wrinkles. They do add some interesting wrinkles to some of the rules. And I also do like how certain hexes will have certain rules. I think this is a really fun little light game. Perfect to just kind of throw in a travel bag and have some good times that doesn't take up a lot of table space or a lot of time. I purchased the physical book from Amazon. However, I do recommend picking this up as a PDF from a place like DriveThruRPG, so you can easily print out the sheets to make the game easier to play. Unfortunately, the physical book does not come with access to the PDF, and from what I can tell, I haven't been able to find PDFs of these online anywhere. You could always scan them, but I ended up also buying a PDF copy just so I could easily print these. But I'm very happy to add this to my collection of small games, especially to my shelf full of 4 Against Darkness and Alone Against Fear and 4 Against the Great Old Ones and those kinds of games. I do recommend this, especially if you're looking for something light, simple, and fun. So, all right, guys, well, I hope you enjoyed this look at 9D6 Quest. We will talk to you later. Bye-bye.